Hello, lacrosse friends. Welcome to the 2014 Baggataway Cup in Oshawa, Ontario. I'm Stephen Stamp, joined by Malcolm Westhaver and Pat Gregoire, bringing you this JVI video presentation of the Canadian University Lacrosse Championships. And we had two fantastic games yesterday, including a 17-16 overtime game, Western taking out Queens. But today we have a rematch of last year's semifinal, Brock and Guelph. Should be a great one. And Malcolm, the game at the end of the season, Guelph broke the winning streak of Brock, ruined their perfect season. Here's our player to watch for Brock, Greg Davidson, 47 goals, not an all-Canadian, interestingly. So you got to wonder if that's going to spark him up a little.
We're going to see on the Guelph side here, Brian Serville as the player to watch. Big game for him yesterday as they were able to knock off the Bishop's Gators, and they're looking to try to repeat as national champions. 4 goals yesterday, so big. So it's going to be a big game for him if Guelph wants to move on.
And he was the MVP of the Baggataway Cup last year, Ryan Serville was, and had just a terrific tournament, playing well in every game. I can't recall if he was actually the player of the game in individual one, but he was the MVP of the whole tournament, so they're going to look to him, and of course Curtis Knight again. Brock has a bunch of very good players as well. We're going to go right now to Pat Gregoire down on the field.
Thanks, guys. This is a matchup from last year, semifinals. The Guelph Gryphons came out on top. Both sides are really fired up, but this Brock lacrosse team is especially fired up. They're the most storied franchise in CUFLA lacrosse history, and they haven't won a ring in a long time. 2009, not one single player on this roster has one. I was talking to Gage Board before the game. He's really hungry to get his first Baggataway Cup championship, and so are a lot of other veterans. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Pat. Excellent. And I'll tell you, this Brock team has won 18 Baggataway Cup championships. So a streak of 5 years might not seem like much to some schools, but for Brock, it's an eternity. We'll have Nico Baudouin and Scott Johnston facing off, and Johnston comes up with it. Johnston gets the ball, gives it over to Curtis Knight, who was our player of the game yesterday. He also had four goals and an assist, and has an impact all over the field. And we're going to have Guelph taking their time getting things set up.
Knight's going to be a name you're going to be hearing us say all night long, offensively and defensively. He seems to be everywhere on the field.
Guelph moving the ball around. Serville gets it up top to Liam Corbett. Mike Burke, sorry. Curtis Knight goes in behind the net. Jordan Critch gives it to Serville. There's a shot by Serville a little bit high. And if you think a lot of these names, if you're not a big CUFLA watcher and you're just joining us, but you're recognizing a lot of these names, it's because there are guys like Mike Burke and Curtis Knight and Jordan Critch who have some pretty serious junior and senior experience and some National Lacrosse League experience as well. A lot of pro players on this roster, and they use that experience to their advantage. Here comes Liam Corbett now. He's going to pass the ball in behind to Burke. Burke's going to change directions.
This Griffin team definitely using throughout the season this leadership with these experienced players, starting off pretty slow and then going really hot to finish off the season. And we were saying knocking off Brock to stop their perfect season in the last game.
There's a goal rushing down the outside. We saw a lot of that yesterday, and Curtis Knight just runs away from his check, goes one hand to protect the stick, and then finds the spot to get the stick back on the hand back on the stick and fire the first goal of the game. Guelph goes up 1-0.
Nice way to start it off. Still less than 2 minutes already into this game. You're going to see Knight, as you're saying, just uses one hand to get away and just got enough space to get that shot off, using great speed to get by his defender and just pop that in very easily.
Guelph comes up with the ball again off the faceoff. They've possessed the ball the entire game so far in this first 2 minutes and a bit. Jordan Critch up high on the field. He's going to rag the ball a little bit. Now he'll give it up. Brett Olbicus has the ball. He's going to give it off to Knight. Critch going into the slot. He'll generally set up in behind the net, but he's trying to set a screen there, open some space for Olbicus. Knight gets it. He's going to let it fly again. He misses this time. Burke is back close to the goal line, to the back line, and Guelph will get possession.
That was very close to being another goal there for Curtis Knight. He got some space and with someone with his caliber, if he gets open, he normally buries those.
There's a save on Serville. Nice job by Ryan Jones to turn that one aside, as Serville had some space, and Guelph has had 3 really good looks at the net in the first 3 minutes.
So far this game, it's been all Guelph. Brock hasn't even been able to touch the ball so far, as Guelph complete possessions and just continuing what they did last night at the end of the game against the Bishop's Gators.
Brock needing to just weather this storm, try not to get down too far as Knight circles the net. Looked out for a pass, but nobody was open. So he just gives it to Serville in the corner, and he'll head back out to the high slot. Comes up to Ulbicus. Ulbicus behind the net to Mike Burke. Burke, who's a great shooter, gives it over to Knight at the top. Guelph taking their time. They're going to reset things. Ulbicus is down to Burke again. Guelph being patient, probing, looking for an opening. Knight had to scurry to catch that one. Controls the ball, though. Gets to Corbett. Corbett trying to drive to the net. He's going to get a shot.
Nice save there by Ryan Jones. Scooped that up, and Brock's going to get possession here. We're going to send this down on the field to Pat Gregoire.
Hey guys, if you already noticed, Ryan Jones making his presence in between the cage for the Brock Badgers. This is his first year as a starting goalie. He's not the most orthodox goalie we've ever seen. Really likes to make saves with every limb of his body. So look to see him not to make the saves, not just with his stick, making kick saves like Johnny Bauer. But hey, at the end of the day, as long as it's out of the net, that's all that matters. Go back to you guys.
Leads to a lot of bruises, but we've already seen Jones make at least one leg save off of Ryan Serville. Brock possessing the ball for the first time. They're going to make sure everybody gets a touch before they start attacking the net. Brandon Stahl has it. He'll go down into the corner. Gives it to Kyle Davis. They're working around the back. Stahl with the ball again. He's going to switch sides.
This is going to be fun to watch. Believe this Brock offense stayed high-powered. You're saying again 47 goals for Greg Davison this year, so definitely going to be looking for a lot from him.
Stahl reversing direction. They stay with him, though, and he's trying to hit the cutter. He does. What a goal. Beautiful pass by Stahl. Hitting Gage board on the cut to the net, and he buries it to even things up. And, Guelph dominates play for about 4 minutes. 4.5 minutes, and then Brock just like that equalizes, and all that's for naught as it's now a tie game.
Lacrosse is a game of complete momentum swings. Going all Guelph at the beginning, but they were unable to bury on their chances. And Brock, though, getting their first real look, and they're going to get a goal off of this. Nice little move behind the net to get some space, and you're going to see the all-Canadian Gage board cutting through the middle and getting that first goal for the Badgers.
You can see the full list of all Canadians as well as other CUFLA information, stories, and updates on the CUFLA website at cufla.ca, cufla.ca. 1-all, 6.5 minutes into the first quarter here in the semifinal. Remember, the second semifinal between McGill and Western will be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Join us for that live. Curtis Knight takes the pass from Burke, gives it over to Ulbicus.
Wonder if Western can provide us with any more drama like that was last night against that Queens game.
Unbelievable. Looked like Western had it wrapped up. Queens scores with 7 seconds left in regulation to tie it. Then Queens goes up thanks to another goal by Alex Wright in the first overtime. But Western comes back and gets 2. There's a save off the post for Ryan Jones.
That was Matt Burke with the shot there. He had a couple goals there in the game yesterday, so definitely another dangerous look for that Guelph Gryphons offense.
Oh, Mike Burke's a tremendous shooter. Jordan Critch is going to pass it out. Corbett didn't have it in his stick when he went to shoot. Pops away from him, and Brock recovers. Running up the field is Mark DeBrone. DeBrone with 40 points this year out of that midi position. And you can see he's one of those guys like Curtis Knight, who's covering him right now, who can play all over the field. DeBrone with wheels, good fitness.
Yeah, those skills earned him an All-Canadian honorable mention this year. Featuring this game alone, 7 All-Canadians on the field today. So definitely a lot of high-powered offense, as most of these guys are on the offensive side of the ball.
Brock moving it around Brandon Slade. Gets it over to Davidson. Davidson goes up to Mark Vredenberg, who's over to Stahl. Curtis Knight up watching him. Lots of movement on the outside, and Slade tries to cut to the net from behind, and it's knocked away.
Some nice D coming there from Matthew Lyons from Guelph. We said his name a few times there yesterday.
We
Big
did.
presence on that side, definitely noticeable.
Yeah, he had a big game yesterday. Responsible for, they gave him the responsibility for covering one of Bishop's big guns yesterday throughout the game, and really managed to do a good job. They've also got Nedelko, the other defender, number 7, David Nedelko, is an All-Canadian. He's up on up in the high slot right now. Vredenberg brings it across to the near side. '77 for Brock, but they don't actually see him on the roster. We'll have to check. Oh, that is Travis Arch. Okay. There we go. Vredenberg has it. Brock being very patient. Oh, there's one off the post. Gets by Michael Lalani and flies all the way out the side.
Very nice shot there from Vredenberg. It beat the goaltender, but as goaltender say, I played the angles right on that shot as it goes off the post.
That's right. I tend to agree with them. You know, if the ball hits the post, you don't know if it was going to go in, if it was over. Maybe he had it. Comes back up to Vredenberg. He's watched by Blaze McCullough. Arch takes the ball. He's got Nedelko on him. Vredenberg draws Nedelko. Dishes off. Slade takes it down, drives to the net. Watched by Lyons. Quick little cut, comes out front. Stripped. Nice job by Curtis Knight to get that ball away from him. But Vredenberg will pick up the groundie.
After we saw early in this game, Guelph having long possession, it seems to be going the other way. Brock holding the ball for quite a long time here and getting their offense set.
Much slower pace to this game than we saw in both the games yesterday. I think both teams may have been a little bit, you know, their coaches, I'm sure, talked to them about not getting into a shooting match like they did yesterday. It was just goal after goal. Obviously 33 goals in the Western and Queens game, and even the Guelph matchup was with Bishops was a pretty high scoring game, especially the first half.
22 goals in that game as well. So as you're saying, in the first half went on, especially in the first 30 minutes of that game.
Oh, what a goal by Vredenberg, just tapping home the pass from Travis Arch as he dives from outside the crease.
And you're going to see Vredenberg, and when we get this replay, did a great job of just getting that shot off before landing down in the crease. As for anyone not a Lacrosse fan, if you're in the crease and that ball goes in, that's not going to be a goal. Great job here from Vredenberg. We're going to get to see on the replay. As there was a nice cut from behind the net from Arch to get him open and to get that goal. So Brock, their first lead of the game, 2-1, about 8 minutes left to play here in the first quarter.
And Vredenberg got by, slipped away from David Nedelko, the All-Canadian defender there. So a smart and athletic play by Vredenberg to get in the right position and be able to tap it home, as you said, while keeping out of the crease. Scott Johnston comes up with the ground ball. He'll head up into the offensive zone.
He had a great game yesterday
on him. He did.
On the face-off circle especially. Face-off so key in field lacrosse and getting that possession.
Big challenge for him facing with Nico Baudouin today. Corbett gives it up top. Olbicus over to Holland. It was Calvin Holland, number 13. Mike Burke throws it down to Serville. And then a bit of an oddity here in that Curtis Knight is having a rest on the sidelines. We used to see him on the field pretty much throughout the game, but got to be smart and give him some time to catch his breath.
After every face-off, I'm always doing a quick check at the bench just to see if he's ready to run back out, but on the offensive or defensive side of the ball.
Corbett's pass skips away from Olbicus. He's being tracked down as he picks the ball up, but he gets it back. It was Drew Barfoot on him. He's trying to get by Barfoot, does so. He flips it behind the net. Nice catch, extending fully there by Jordan Critch. They're going to come back up top. Holland giving the ball to Burke. Holland's going to cut to the middle. Burke reverses field with DeBrone on him. That pass gets away from Ulbicus. He just swats at it to try and create some space. It's going to be picked up by the Badgers. Connor McGee gets the ball. He's being harassed by Serville. Nice ride by Serville, but McGee overcomes. Makes his way up the field. John Fitzgerald with some speed.
Nice recognition from those Brock long poles to get in there and get that ball moved up quickly. As they're going to get another goal on the board here.
You love those transition goals as Brock works their way up the field and takes a 3-1 lead. Fitzgerald making the pass across, and then the ball comes down to Kyle Davis, who skips a low shot off the turf, and not a lot of bounce probably with the rain. It is pretty wet out there. The ball will skip a little bit more.
You're going to see a nice pass coming across and then down, just beating out this Guelph defender's slide, and he's going to get a little fake, get the goalie to go up, and then slide it right underneath.
Yeah, you can see Davis just making it look like he was going with the high shot, then dropping down. Ball pops out of the Badgers' stick on the faceoff, and Guelph gets control of it. They trail 3-1 with just under 6 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Liam Corbett running around the back of the net, watched by McGee. Guelph getting their players out on the field, including Curtis Knight, who takes the pass from Mike Burke.
You'll see all night you'll see Knight up top there, just waiting for that pass, getting the offense set. A lot of it runs through him.
And Ryan Serville, a real finisher down there. He's an All-Canadian again this year. He's been here for about 4 years with Guelph and had some very strong seasons.
Always been a player to watch out for every year coming to the Baggataway Cup. He's always been on every team's scouting report.
Just so strong when he comes from goal line, extended and below, out, and he's able to change directions and get that shot up very quickly. Speaking of changing directions, Knight changes directions, switches hands, or crosses over, and flips a shot, but it's turned aside by Ryan Jones, who may be the player of the game so far for Brock, as he held them in it early and has made some great saves.
Oh, absolutely, with somebody like Knight's skill, getting a couple open opportunities to shoot, as we're going to see actual flag being thrown down on the play. Looks like it's going to be against the Badgers, so the Gryphons are going to see the first power play of the game.
Looks like Quinn Stewart, no. And you can hear through Pat Gregoire's mic over there that they want Mark DeBrone, the Badgers, to come off the field. 2 penalties.
As the second one was
for
thrown,
the Badgers.
That second one was thrown right in the front of the bench area.
So that's why they wanted Mark DeBrone off the field. They wanted to get another long stick. It's an illegal procedure call. The problem is that the Brock player Fitzgerald left early. John Fitzgerald, number 8. So 2 penalties, a big opportunity for Guelph to try and close this gap. Let's go down. Actually, we're going to take a look at this goal. Curtis Knight gets this one. And Pat Gregoire, just a quick word before we get to the replay.
Yeah, guys, if you noticed, there's an additional ref at the box. So these guys are used to leaving a couple of seconds earlier before. But with that extra official, you really got to watch when you're leaving the box. We saw last night in both games, both teams getting penalized on it. Back to you guys.
As we're going to get to see quickly on the replay here, Knight just slipping into the middle, getting open for just a quick second. And he's able to bury that one before the Brock defender can slide to him and get that power play goal.
What a perfect pass by Jordan Critch, sliding up from below the goal line. And there's a shot just a little bit high by Baudouin.
Great face-off win, popped it right to himself, had space for days to just run right down the alley. That can be very dangerous when a face-off man can get that kind of momentum going towards the net.
Talking about that Critch pass, you notice it was right in the spot where Curtis Knight was ready to shoot when he caught the ball, because he didn't have a whole lot of time to get it off, and he was able to release it immediately.
Yeah, no having to catch it down low and sort of reset to get high. It was a perfect pass, perfect shot. That's what we've been seeing out of this Guelph offense the last 2 days.
They seem to be a real Baggataway Cup team. I mean, again, third seed coming into the tournament, into the finals, and just you know, a good season, but not not one of the top couple of teams, but they just get here and they are so solid. That ball goes out off the stick of Brandon Slade.
Nice job by the long pole there. That number 21 is Christian LeBlanc, sorry, the All-Canadian honorable mention there, popping that ball loose.
Just a little tap on the stick to make the ball pop out and go out of bounds. Scott Johnston comes up with it, gives it off to Burke. Guelph will try and tie things up before the quarter ends.
And of course, always out there for the Gryphons with the ball, Curtis Knight.
He's watched by Mark DeBrone. It is a very cool day today. The temperature is similar to yesterday, but with the rain and some wind, it definitely feels a bit colder today. So we'll see if that impacts the players as the game goes along. Certainly the midfielders stay nice and warm with all the running. There's a shot by Critch as he slips out from below the goal line and turns to fire when it goes wide. And Serville will come up with the ball. Let's go down to Pat Gregoire.
Yeah, guys, yesterday, if you can remember, Jordan Critch not afraid to take those shots just past GLE. And as I say that, Ryan Serville takes a page out of Critch's book and scores just shooting past GLE, putting it by Jones.
Serville is so good at that, coming from below the goal line extended and just slipping up just far enough to give himself the angle that he can bounce this one past the foot of Ryan Jones and tie the game up.
Serville has great size. He's got speed and hand, so when you combine all those things together, that's a very deadly attackman. As you're going to see this here, he's going to drive from behind the net, cut back, and just keep pushing. His defender is right on him the whole time, but Serville doesn't care, uses his size, and gets that shot off.
And that's all Canadian defender Parker Bale. So it's not like it's a slouch that Serville is making that move on. He obviously knows how to finish, and it is tied 3-3 as we're into the final minute of the first quarter. For those of you who didn't see us yesterday, what we're trying to do, we will get the score bug back up on the screen shortly. It shows the time, and the clock will stop on the field at 30 seconds. We'll try and keep it running and be as close as we can to accurate, but it won't be the official time that's up there. Here comes Mark DeBrone, passing across to Vredenberg. He was stepping in a bit too far, just slipped off his stick.
That time clock sometimes can throw teams off because we may be able
Clock's
to
on.
We have an idea, but they have no actual clue other than that signal of 30 seconds left to play.
Yeah, the clock is on the field. We're under 30 seconds now. And Davidson has the ball stripped away from him. It was Nicholas Wortman, who had a very strong game yesterday. There's a pass. It gets away from Wortman, though. So with about 7 seconds left, Brock has a quick chance to try and get a shot on goal. They're going to make a long pass, trying to hit Brandon Slade. Didn't get it to him, and the ball just bounces away harmlessly as the first quarter ends.
3-3 after one quarter play. Both teams having long offensive possessions each way. Not as many goals as maybe we were expecting out of these two squads, but a good hard-fought game so far.
Excellent competition here at the Baggataway Cup. I'm Stephen Stamp with Malcolm Westhaver and Pat Gregoire, bringing you this JVI video presentation of Canadian Field Lacrosse Championships. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the second quarter after this. Welcome back to the 2014 Baggataway Cup. The semifinal between the Brock Badgers and the Guelph Gryphons is tied 3-3 after one quarter of play. Long stretches of possession for either team going back and forth. And Malcolm Westhaver, that's pretty much what we're going to expect for the rest of this game. Although last year in this game, in this and this is a rematch last year in the semifinal between these teams. Guelph kind of pulled away and took that 13-9 win, which may have been a bit of a surprise that it wasn't closer.
Yeah, especially with how big of a powerhouse Brock was. Definitely favored going into that game, but when you make it this Baggataway Cup, any team can win in this tournament. Winning 3 games in 3 days is definitely a little bit of a harder road. Teams like Guelph and Western are going to have to do that, unlike McGill and Brock, who did get a bye yesterday.
Gage Board gives the ball off to Brandon Stahl. Stahl's going to take his time heading in. Curtis Knight watching him. There's a pass, beautiful pass to Board, but it's stopped by Lalani. Board got a goal like that earlier where he just cut through and took the pass.
Looks like they're going to call a crease violation against Brock. So Guelph's going to get the ball back.
Scott Johnston has it.
These types of situations, teams really like it because when you're trying to break out, you want to get it into a short stick's hand instead of having it in one of your long poles. And on a situation like that with a whistle, you get a chance to do that.
Kyle Davis with good pressure on Johnston, but Johnston able to just run the ball out of his end. We'll see if Brock, when they get the ball back, if they can really get Greg Davidson more involved in the offense. He, as we mentioned, he scored 47 goals this year, but really hasn't played a big role today, has barely seen the ball.
Yeah, you try to you reference guys on how many times you sort of say their name and things like that, and Davidson's just one that's we haven't really brought up at all in that first quarter.
Mike Burke drives down the shot, the save by Jones, another body save. Looked like he got his leg on it.
He's going to be definitely bruised up after this weekend, but it'll definitely all be worth it if they're able to take home that Baggataway Cup.
DeBrone looking for someone to pass to. He's finally going to give it up.
As Pat was saying before the game, none of these Brock Badgers have won the Baggataway Cup, and that's probably the first time in maybe that team's history that's happened, that they've had not a single member with a championship.
That's a great point because it has been 5 years, and when you win 18 championships in 29 years, you guys have a lot of guys who are getting titles.
And you don't normally go like the 5-year where you have a full group of guys go all the way through without taking it down.
A full cycle of players. They're going to try and change that. Arch gets a shot off. That one's a little wide. Davis is back there to get the possession. Let's go down to Pat Gregoire between the benches.
Guys, if you noticed earlier in the first quarter there, a lot of the movement has been coming from the inside, attacking from the back of the cage. But I've been listening on the sideline here. They're going to try to start working the midfielders, trying a little sweep from up top. So keep an eye on that. Back to you guys.
Gage Board, one of those midfielders with the ball. We'll see what he's up to. Passes it over to Arch on the bounce. He's watched by Luke Stockton. Gives it up and they move it around behind the net. There's Gage Board cutting again. He has been the busiest guy in terms of cutting. Long pole, trying to reach for the ball there. And a nice job by Jordan Critch to lift his stick.
As you see in lacrosse, in field lacrosse, he must keep 3 players on each side of the field. And you saw Guelph attackman and Brock defender sort of battling for it there. You normally would give that to the Brock defenders to get that extra stick, but again, Critch with a great job of popping that stick up and keep getting it in the Guelph zone.
Flag on the field. Seville tries to cut to the net and get a shot, but Travis Arch manages to get his stick on stick contact and pop the ball loose. So Guelph doesn't get a shot off, but they will go to the man advantage. Liam Corbett picks up the ball down in the corner, and the call is for a slash. Kyle Davis will go off for 30 seconds.
Guelph's going to look to take their first lead since they held it at 1-0 earlier in the game.
Jordan Critch does so, firing between the legs of Jones.
That was an absolute rocket by Critch. Jones tried to drop down and get that save, but no time at all as Critch buries it right by him. And timeout called on the field by the Guelph Gryphons so they can keep this power play going.
Yeah, Davis not released yet, so they take the timeout. Let's go down to Pat Gregoire, see what he's got to say from the Brock area.
Guelph goal scored by number 2, Jordan Critch. Timeout 12.
They want to keep that, but they're going to have to play smart as well. And they'll also have to play smart in the change box. Back to you guys.
Such a fine line between being aggressive and physical, but not taking penalties. And Brock just sliding over the line a little bit there. But It sounds like we didn't have Pat Gregoire on. So basically what he was saying was the Brock coach is telling their players they've got to stay out of the penalty box, that they can't afford to give Guelph these man-up situations. Guelph is just too good on the man advantage. And Brock saying, they can play with them when they're even up.
Definitely, you can see that with Brock going only one loss all season was to this team. But any team that takes a lot of penalties is vulnerable to take a loss out there on the field.
Bodwin will get possession after a infringement by Scott Johnston. DeBrone will start with the ball. Watched by. Go ahead.
You're going to see Guelph probably go straight into a double or triple team here to try to get this ball back while Brock makes a few changes.
DeBrone holding on to it.
As they try now to initiate that double team.
Trying to put a little pressure. Calvin Holland putting some pressure on, and then Nedelko going over. Brock just throws it out high. Davis is standing up, and he's ready to head back onto the field. And he's released.
Seems like Guelph at that point just seeing where Brock was and knowing that penalty is about to expire, just content on letting them stand on the outside and not trying to force anything.
Comes to Davis, fresh out of the box. Brock still taking their time, looking to set things up. Now they go down low. Stahl looked like he was going to shoot, passes it off to Davidson. Davidson loses the ball. Maybe he's trying a little too hard there. He's aware, as we are, that he hasn't been that involved in the offense and really wants to help his team out.
That sometimes can be a big thing for offensive players, getting that monkey off your back. But as we see another Brock goal to tie this back up, as Kyle Davis, as you're saying, fresh out of that box, is going to bury it for the Brock Badgers.
Skipped a low shot that Lilani looks like he might want to have back on that one, but lots of power behind the shot for Davis. He went down and just fired that one along the turf.
We're going to see here on the replay, you can see Davis is getting open away from his defender, just taking as much time as he possibly can before that slide came and getting that low shot off. Goaltender, yeah, definitely Lilani thinking that he'd want to get that one back. Those low to low, the goalies normally can see them coming the whole way when you get that stick down there. It's the ones that change planes that normally get them the best.
It's a push by Johnston and Knight, knocking the Brock player over. But no possession call, so Brock will hang on to it.
That's what you were saying before, that line between just being aggressive and being too aggressive, and just the referees deemed that was just the right amount.
That pass to Olbicus skips away, he picks it back up, takes a whack from McGee. Take a quick look at this contact here. You can see Knight and Johnston. And you actually, you watch the replay, and Knight was on his side, definitely had contact to the side and the shoulder and not the back, so probably a good no call. Guelph got a chance there because Brock had a bit of a bad change. We're hearing from Pat Gregoire down on the field, as they were a bit slow to get their defensive player out there and just opened up some space for the Gryphons, and they were quick to take advantage of it.
And Knight definitely showing his experience with that hit there by getting the right angle and just getting the right, so he didn't hit him on the back.
Here comes Corbett down the slide. Pass out to Critch. Critch goes to the net, switches hands, goes back to Burke behind the net. He's coming out. He's going to let it fly and score. He was looking past the whole way, trying to find somebody up top, either Knight or Olbicus. Looked like they were up in position, but they weren't open, so he decided to shoot, and it was a good decision.
Very nice one you saw on the play before. Critch was going to drive in the net first, but decided to back off and pass it off. Good decision, as Burke was able to drive hard around the net and bury it here. See, no defender really, just that coma slide not in time, and he was able to just get that shot off. As you were saying, you can see eyes are upfield and to a point where he finally decides, yep, it's time to go to cage.
Yeah, Connor McGee just had too far to go to try and get there in time. Pat Gregoire down on the field saying, so it looks like maybe Brock is getting a little too aware of not getting in the box, not getting caught with their line changes. It can get into your head when you get a penalty like that, and you realize that you have that extra official just watching you coming and going from the sidelines.
And having that extra person there, that extra set of eyes, always making you weary. Things you also say on the bench, as that extra person can hear words in field lacrosse, swearing is not tolerated. So sometimes on the bench you'll say something, no one's going to hear it, but with the referee right there, you can definitely pick that up.
Brock takes the ball in behind. Brandon Slade with it. Let's go down to Pat Gregoire on the field for a second. Oh, actually, I don't think he's ready with anything at the moment. That was just an internal contact he was making with us. So we'll continue with the play here. 5-4 in favor of the Guelph Gryphons. Nick Ripka with the ball. He's driving down. He's met by Blaze McCullough.
See, I find with this Brock squad today, we've been saying quite a few more names than what we've been saying on like sort of the Guelph side. Brock trying to do this more by a committee where Guelph gets it on their own, and just that, well, Brock ties this right back up.
Gage Board goes 5-hole on Michael Alani.
At the All-Canadian showing what he's got as he's just driving down and getting another low goal on Alani. The last few have gone below, definitely in the lower extremities for him, as we're going to see on the replay here. Just a nice drive, getting away from his defender, keeping that stick on the outside, and just getting that bouncer to go right through Alani's legs.
Nice speed to get away from Ben Heidecker. And you can see that Alani originally thought Gage Board was going high as Lalani brought the stick up, and by the time he got it back down, the ball was already between his legs. Mark DeBrone gets it off the faceoff, goes low to high. They've been beating Lalani low, so he goes low and just changes the DeBrone just changes the angle and fires it right up under the bar.
Absolutely gorgeous. You're saying if goalies can see that ball coming in on the same plane. Earlier in the game, they had that same angle, but they Brock was going low to low. So Lalani probably dropped down, and you can just see it go high. And we're going to send it down to the field to Pat Gregoire.
Yeah, guys, we were talked about earlier about how this is going to be a great face-off matchup. A beautiful play by the Brock's face-off guy, Bowden, Nico Bowden, just diving for that ball, putting it back, and creating a scoring opportunity. Sometimes just because you don't win the draw doesn't mean that your team can't. Back to you.
Bodum comes up with the ball again, throws it across. Drew Barfoot will pass it down.
Brock with a long pole in on attack for a minute there.
It's the third time John Fitzgerald's been up involved in the attack in this game, and certainly looking comfortable doing so.
You saw there too, actually, while he was jogging the bench, to see maybe if his man had already sprinted there so he could cut back and maybe get a little opening up towards the net.
Ball comes over to Travis Arch. Moves it down to Davidson and goes to Slade. See Nicholas Wortman over on the far side. Number 17 is on. Greg Davidson trying to keep him quiet, and so far they're doing a pretty good job. But Brock finding other sources of offense. They come out to Vredenberg, who scored a beauty earlier. Looked like he might load one up, but Curtis Knight was on him, so he winks the one-hand pass over to Arch.
Vredenberg seems to love just going down to that one hand, and he's seen lots of control going in and out of players and making passes with that. So definitely a deadly force if you're able to do that. But we see Blaze McCullough coming way out on defense here.
Really high. Travis Arch drives down past him and scores. Brock takes a 2-goal lead.
That's a tough one to do sometimes. It's how far out McCullough was as that Arch was able just to drive by using his speed. And when you're out so far like that, if you get beat, there's a lot of room for someone like Arch to come in and bury, as we're going to see. Arch just backing him down, and then just picking up speed and catching McCullough flat-footed and able to bury.
That's exactly true. You could see McCullough just kind of settled his feet for a second, and as McCullough settled both feet down to kind of break down, Arch just took off. He accelerated, perfect awareness of what was going on around him.
7-5 lead now for the Badgers. Second time they've had a 2-goal lead so far tonight. 3-1, I believe, they had earlier before Guelph was able to bring that back.
Calvin Holland gives it up to Mike Burke and heads off. Burke on his offside is going to go behind the net to Critch. Seville sees the cutting Ulbicus. He slips off to Brone, is going to try and tuck it home. He's going to draw a penalty, but didn't quite get it past Ryan Jones, who recovered to make a nice save.
Yeah.
Let us know who you think should be the players of the game. Use the hashtag BroPog and GwepPog on Twitter at JVI Video to let us know who you think should be the players of the game. Mark DeBrone gets a holding call. He is off, and he has had a very strong game, certainly in consideration for Brock's player of the game, but this penalty giving Guelph a chance to get back into it. Corbett gives it off. Quick pass by Burke. They try and hit Ulbicus. He gets a nice recovery, but a middle body save by Ryan Jones.
Jones just all over, not willing to take anything to get this Brock team to win. I know a lot of people out there who would not take those same kind of saves.
Matt Getz heading off to the bench. Another penalty though coming. It looks like Parker Bale will sit down. No, he's going to the bench as well. Somebody's got to go, as the flag went when the Guelph player was flattened.
You're going to get to see a replay of that penalty here. A couple extra slashes coming from all over, hit on the back. Hard to tell which one actually they're going to call on there.
I think it was the one coming straight over the shoulder.
As you saw also the goalie Ryan Jones getting a couple extra whacks in.
I think it is Parker Bale that took that one. We'll confirm that with Pat Gregoire down on the field and let you know. As Guelph moves the ball around, they get it in tonight. He was just a step too far to take a shot, so he runs in behind the net, resets it. They go out to Burke, who's going to rip again and score again. Pull Guelph back within a goal.
Quick timeout call directly to keep that power play alive. But again, this Brock Badgers team taking too many penalties and allowing this Guelph Gryphons team to get right back into it. 5-on-5, it seems to be Brock's game, but on the power play, Guelph definitely taking advantage. We're going to get to see this goal here. Burke just fine, just moving up enough to slide in between the two defenders and getting that shot off.
And when Mike Burke has that much space, it's very difficult to stop him from scoring on a 6-foot by 6-foot goal. Let's go down to Pat Gregoire during the timeout.
Yeah, guys, it's prime example there, that last goal by Mike Burke. He's really using his foot speed coming upfield, using a torque of his body to get those shots off. It seems like Ryan Jones, like I said, he's an unorthodox goalie. It seems like he's kind of losing himself on those plays like that, like when Mike Burke is coming upfield. So see if Brock the Guelph Gryphons continue to do plays like that from GLE. Back to you guys.
Certainly like to. We certainly see Guelph liking to do that. Ryan Serville will do it. Jordan Critch will do it. And whether they cut up, turn and shoot, or cut up and pass just before, as somebody slides to them, is, obviously reacting to what's happening in the moment.
The Guelph Gryphons, so many weapons on offense. Almost all their guys can bury. And you definitely see that by looking at their point totals this season. Some high-scoring guys. And they're definitely making this Brock Badgers team pay, especially on the power play, as they're going to continue this power play with smart time, taking that time out, as in field lacrosse, unlike some other sports. Some penalties are releasable, some penalties are not. So when you score a goal on a power play, you take that time out to keep it going.
Now they just have to win the face-off. Nico Baudouin will try and get it for Brock, let them kill the rest of the penalty. He and Scott Johnston really battling for it. Baudouin brings it, pulls it out behind him, and it's scooped up nicely by John Fitzgerald.
Absolute gorgeous pullback from Baudouin. It's someone who, someone who doesn't know face-offs that well, he's able to turn perfectly and scoop that right between his legs to where his man was.
Nice job by the long pole Fitzgerald to pick it up and then give it off to Brandon Slade, who will now pass it to Brandon Stahl. They've just got 10 seconds left to kill in this penalty, and they should be able to do it. Guelph looks like they're going to sit back and let them.
Yeah, it's this second time tonight there that Guelph just decided not a lot of time left. We're just not going to press anything and have maybe a chance against us.
Greg Davidson comes in. Slade slips around the official. There's Kyle Davis. Looks like Greg Davidson now is actually moving up into a midfield position. They're trying to get him, again, more involved in the offense, give him some open space. So maybe Wortman can't stay with him, but Wortman's still sticking right to Greg Davidson. As you can see, Davidson going up into the slot. Great point there by Pat Gregoire, sending that up to us from field level.
Oh, absolutely. That's the way to go. Maybe, as we were saying, Davidson not really getting it on the offense so far today. Maybe playing at the midfield position, get that monkey off his back and start things rolling.
Here comes Slade out from behind. Great work covering him there by Christian LeBlanc, who's having a strong half so far. Shot coming in, a goal. Nice one by Brandon Stahl as he slips off a check, gets the shot off just before he falls to the turf and buries it, restoring the 2-goal lead for Brock.
Brandon Stahl showing why he was an All-Canadian this year. Had a double team on him at one point, just able to power right through and get to some open spaces. Brock Badgers team very dangerous around the net so far tonight. As you can see that slide coming, slips right off of it, gets upfield, and those Guelph defenders seem to be caught maybe a little flat-footed at point there, as you'll see. Just and a nice goal for the Badgers, as Steven said, to regain that 2-goal lead.
Long battle for this face-off. 6 players trying to battle for it, and Bodwin comes up with it. Pops out of his stick, though. Johnson right on him. Bodwin from the turf flips it ahead, gets it over to Parker Bale.
Johnson there may not be winning the majority of the draws, but he has not given up the fight at all. Definitely battling and giving Guelph a chance to get that ball back.
Davidson sliding for Brock back down into the attack position, although he has come up pretty high. He's up around the 50 as they work on the clear here. See if he slides down closer to GLE as Connor McGee gets the ball. Nedelko knocks it loose from him, and Curtis Knight is there to pick it up. Knight creating some transition.
Great ride there from the Guelph Gryphons, forcing that pass into the long post stick where Nedelko was just waiting for him.
But that pass by Knight gets away from Jordan Critch, and the Brock Badgers will get the ball back. As you and Pat have both pointed out, Malcolm, Brock really seems to be winning the battle when it is even strength. It's just those power play goals that are keeping Guelph in there. Brock playing a pretty methodical game at both ends of the field.
Take lots of time in Canadian field lacrosse, no shot clock out at all. The only time maybe that you have any restrictions if they call a stall, so if the team wants to just slow it down, and if a team possibly could hold the ball for an all 80 minutes, it's allowable in the game.
It's not like they're not attacking, though. I mean, they've got 8 goals, which is obviously very good for less than half the game. So it's working for Brock. Brock has taken a timeout now with 1:38 to go.
Brock probably just trying to make sure they get reset. With only 1:38, definitely don't want to let Guelph get the ball back and maybe get within 1 and possibly win a face-off and tie this back up before half. The big momentum swing that could happen. But if Brock can hold on to this with 2 goals heading into the half, maybe pop 1 more, they'll definitely be sitting where they want to be.
There we see both teams gathering around their coaches. Some of the players kind of hopping around to try and stay warm. You can see the effect of the wind with the way the shorts and shirts are riffling in the wind. And it is definitely pretty cool out there.
These guys probably a little bit happy though. The rain has subsided today. You're saying when they were warming up today though, it was coming down pretty hard on these guys. As if you ever see any around the track, still lots of puddles that surround the field.
Once again, for the players of the game, you see the hashtags to use there. Send us your thoughts at JVI Video. Let us know. We're going to pick 1 player from each team. They will receive a lacrosse head and mesh strung by Blue Collar Lax with Mark Mesh, their patent pending technology for mesh.
Absolute great mesh. I'm using my stick myself. Great, especially in a game like today where it rains. Mark Mesh does not bend, does not stretch, and especially when you field across where all of a sudden that pocket dips out a little more, you can have a big penalty against your team, as we saw yesterday in that Queens Western game, and even last year we saw a 6-minute stick violation against the Western Mustangs in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, where the player had his stick checked, and before he handed it to the officials, he touched the head. You're not allowed to do that. You just have to hand it straight over. So the touch was 3 minutes, and the stick being illegal, another 3, and that was a huge turning point in Queen's win. Brandon Stahl takes it. We're coming into the final minute of this second quarter.
Brock definitely just wanting to get that one more shot off before the half, and not going to let Guelph get a hold of it whatsoever, it seems like.
Long pass across to Davis. Comes back up to Arch. Taking their time still. 14 seconds until the clock will stop at the 30-second mark and the timer will come out on the field. Now the stall warning is in effect. Brock's going to have to move inside the 35-yard line. Arch is actually going to take a shot. That one's stopped by Lalani. Bounces by Wortman. And Brock stepped in the crease. It's going to be Guelph ball with less than 30 seconds to go. You can see about 20 on the screen.
You can see Brock probably maybe not wanting to take that shot early, but referees forcing their hand by calling the stall and getting them to move back into the offensive area.
Knight draws 3 players and flicks it over to Mike Burke. Burke, not much time left. He's going to let one fly from midfield. That one's scooped up by Ryan Jones, and the first half will end with the score of the Brock Badgers 8, the Guelph Gryphons 6. Pat Gregoire, as we go to the half, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share with us just before we take a break?
This is exactly what we expected from these two teams. We'll see which strategy the coaches go with. Yesterday, a couple teams decided to stay off the field. It looks like both teams are going to go in, get nice and warm, and it worked in Guelph's favor yesterday. So just a little thing you got to watch for, and those things make a difference, especially in a championship weekend like this. But overall, a very up-paced, up-tempo first half of lacrosse. We'll go back to you guys.
It was interesting yesterday. You mentioned that Bishop stayed out on the field during the half. We're throwing the balls around, trying to stay warm and keep themselves going. And they had really got taken over in the second half. And Tim Murdoch, the McGill coach, was watching the game. And at halftime, when they stayed out, he was talking to some of his assistants and saying, "Hey, this is interesting. Maybe we should think about this, about staying out at the half and having the guys keep moving and keep warm out here." I imagine he's going to have changed that after the results the Bishops got from it.
It's a Bishop tradition. They do it every game. They'll never coach in Guelph and will not let the team go back in the dressing room. They always stay on the field at home, so they stay on the field on the road.
We're going to take a quick break, a 9-minute break. We'll be back with the second half of the semifinal of the Baggataway Cup. I'm Stephen Stamp with Pat Gregoire and Malcolm Westhaver. We'll be right back.
You'd have to go off the roof and in. Yeah. I love you. Thank you.
All Brock Badgers, but when Brock starts sending them into the box, the Guelph Gryphons made them pay for that.
Brett Obicus has the ball. Ryan Serville throws it back. They're going to move the ball around. Comes out to Curtis Knight. Obicus over to Burke. Servill's pointing the other direction as he was covered tightly by Parker Bale. So we'll go back up to Knight. Knight trying to get by Mark DeBrone. Swings by him. And there's going to be a flag for that little one-hand push in the back by DeBrone on Curtis Knight. DeBrone will hustle off to the bench, and that's exactly what Brock wants to avoid, but they're going to call him for a trip.
We're going to get to see here on the replay of that. Knight going to swing, going to spin to keep moving. He gets by his defender, but you can see Stick getting tangled up in his legs, and it takes him down, and good call there by the referee.
So 1 minute penalty on the trip. Burke's going to pass it into the slot. Olbicus with the stick tight to the body tries to flip it over to Serville. It gets away from him, and Brock will get possession. They'll see how much of this they can kill. Let's go down to Pat Gregoire on the field.
Thanks, Steven. If you notice on that last penalty kill, Brock playing a little more aggressive on the edges because they've been shooting the lights out. That's the Gryphons that have been from the outside. It does give up a shot in the middle, but good job by the defenders to take that scoring opportunity away. Back to you guys.
Great point down there, Pat, noticing that. As you were seeing Guelph just shooting the lights out from the outside. But great job sliding underneath Brock to stop Olbicus from getting a shot off.
And also harassing him with that pressure so that it made the pass over to Serville tougher, and that's how they ultimately got the ball back. Travis Arch takes the ball off his chest, controls it, passes it across to Gage Board, and gives it up to Greg Davidson. Davidson's going to move it down to Slade. Comes back up to Stahl over on the far side. That's Brandon Stahl passing it to Travis Arch. Curtis Knight watching him. And just a note, if you're just joining us, you can see the way the players' jerseys and shorts are rippling. It is very windy. We were outside the broadcast booth during halftime, and the wind is really ripping from our broadcast right to left. And you're pointing out hard enough to affect the way the ball travels on cross-field passes.
Oh yeah, with the wind blowing this hard, when you sail like a long high